Long before the world even noticed, Vladimir Putin shook the globalist order to its core. He kicks the Rothschilds out of Russia. Yes, the very family behind the creation of the modern state of Israel, and declared war on the New World Order, vowing to dismantle it with his own hands. Now he's gambling on a last stand. Putin has set his sights on international Satanism and the shadowy influence of Zionists in the West, warning that these forces are corroding civilization from within, pushing it towards a planned total collapse. Tonight, we expose the hidden networks and forbidden alliances behind transgender indoctrination, extreme pornography, and the moral collapse sweeping the West. Truths the mainstream media will never report on. The question is Putin's bold gamble our last hope, or the final act before civilization falls? Before we dive in, let me just tell you about an important service that lets you protect your privacy from the deep state. Our partner VP.net isn't just another VPN. It's the next evolution in private browsing, built with unbreakable zero-logging architecture. That means no records, no traces, nothing for the globalists to snoop on. Visit vp.net/TPV for more. Russia has announced it will seize the financial assets of international Satanists and place them on a global terror watch list. While the West welcomes Satanists into schools under the banner of liberalism, Moscow sees them as a dangerous threat, an ideology that justifies evil. The Kremlin insists this crackdown is about defending faith, family, and tradition. According to Putin, the message is unmistakable. These groups literally worship the devil, and they are behind open borders, societal collapse, and the rise of pornography and alternative lifestyles in the West. Their ultimate goal, he warns, is the destruction of the family. And when that happens, if it hasn't already, it will be the fait accompli.
Ведут против нас все более агрессивные информационные атаки. Целью выбирают прежде всего, конечно, молодых людей, молодые поколения. И здесь опять лгут постоянно, извращают исторические факты, не прекращают нападки на нашу культуру, на русскую православную церковь, другие традиционные религиозные организации нашей страны. Посмотрите, что они делают со своими собственными народами. Разрушение семьи, культурной и национальной идентичности, извращение, издевательство над детьми вплоть до педофилии объявляются нормой их жизни. А священнослужители, священников принуждают благословлять однополые браки. Да Бог с ними, пускай что хотят, то и делают. Что здесь хочется сказать? Взрослые люди имеют право жить, как хотят. Мы к этому так и относились в России, и всегда к этому будем так относиться. Никто в частную жизнь не вторгается, и мы не собираемся этого делать. Но хочется им сказать, посмотрите, извините меня, священные писания, главные книги всех других мировых религий. Там все сказано, в том числе то, что семья – это союз мужчины и женщины. Но и эти...
Now, Putin is putting his money where his mouth is, targeting Satanists and placing them on the global terror watch list. He's raising the stakes on his warning that the vampire ball is coming to an end, insisting that Western elites have long feasted on human flesh and sacrificed children.
Они привыкли столетиями набивать брюхо человеческой плотью, а карманы деньгами. Но они должны понять, что бал вампиров заканчивается.
According to Putin's recent speeches, globalists have captured the West, enforcing policies that push child sex trafficking, child mutilation, forced transgender education, critical race theory, and even the worship of Satan across institutions. And yet, somehow, our politicians and mainstream media insist he's the enemy. Coming up, we expose the Zionist influence machine, behind open borders, moral decay, and the engineered collapse of society. Nobody else has the courage to share this. Stay with us. Once you see the truth, you can't unsee it, and everything will fall into place. Brooke Burke. Yes, the fitness legend from Dancing with the Stars hit 50 and got blindsided. Unexplained weight gain, muscle loss, and energy tanked. Sound familiar? The system is happy to let women waste their time and money following fad diets and big pharma fixes that absolutely don't work. Realizing this, Brooke flipped the script. She found one simple thing: biohacking with a specific protein that made her leaner, stronger, and healthier than ever. At 53, her abs are tighter than over a decade ago. She calls it her secret weapon, And it's not some nasty pill or expensive scam. She's spilling all the secrets in a free video that recently went viral. Her method takes less than a minute a day and doesn't involve any insane diets. Want the truth? Visit tonyprotein.com/TPV. Links below. That's tonyprotein.com/TPV. Watch it now for the no bullshit truth about weight loss that Big Pharma absolutely doesn't want you to know about. Charlie Kirk knew. He knew who was behind the moral decay and weakening of the West. He spoke the truth no one else dares to say. And now, did he pay the ultimate price for it?
And Jewish donors, they have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of decoupling to do, because Jewish donors have been the number one funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions, and nonprofits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it. It's like time for you guys to wake up and say no more, draw a line in the sand. I don't care if you hate me.
Volunteers for Mossad occupy most major US cities and power centers. They're called the Sayanim, described as unpaid civilians who secretly help Israel's intelligence agency out of loyalty to Israel, as Jewish writer Jacob Cohen explains.
The Sayanim are tens of thousands of people, Jews, Zionists, who are members probably of the Bnei Brit, for instance. Bnei Brit is the Jewish Masonry, who occupy high level in all the societies. I mean, you can imagine 5,000 Sayanim in New York, only in the business area. 5,000 Sayanim in Los Angeles, in the production area, in the artistic area. And you can, in France, in London, you can imagine 1,000 Sayanim in the medias. You can imagine, and they receive orders from the Mossad, from a department of the Mossad called the War Department. And they work for the Mossad. It means that all these people who have their work, who work normally, they are citizens. I mean, they work in a bank, they are political, they are publishers. But when the Mossad call them and tell them, look, I need information.
If there really was a globalist conspiracy to destroy Western countries, Jews would talk about it openly and try to claim it was inevitable. There would be a plan written down like the Kalergi Plan, which is written in the book Practical Idealism. It would describe in great detail the way to break down the white race so they could be ruled over by Jews. The term melting pot would be coined by a Jew to convince the masses it's a good thing to lose ethnic majorities of your own countries. And there would be Jewish intellectuals promoting open borders and the destruction of traditional societies as a positive for the world.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role. But without that leading role and without that transformation, Europe will not survive.
And they wouldn't stop there. Jewish-led corporations like BlackRock would use their financial power to force more anti-white DEI programs into major companies. Jews would get into important political positions like Alejandro Mayorkas and then use their power to open the borders. And then Jews like Merrick Garland would label you a white supremacist if you spoke up about your replacement. Immigration disasters would be happening all over the world in white Western nations, but they wouldn't be happening in non-white nations. Then they would weaponize the education system, using their intellectual power to control the minds of the youth through brainwashing. They would seize Ivy League president positions and push DEI and anti-white studies. They would then start using their media power to promote race mixing and destruction of white people and society. Breaking down the whites with immigration is good, but the Jews would also need to break them down internally. They would promote feminism, degeneracy, and pornography. And even though white male suicide rates are rising, driven by collapsing communities and shrinking economic opportunities, you'd never know it, because the controlled media refuses to talk about it. The final phase of destruction would involve Jewish intellectuals creating a theory that race is a social construct, like Frank Boas. Yet nobody would be allowed to speak of the hypocrisy of Israel, remaining as a Jewish ethno-state, while Jews promote open borders and multiculturalism in Europe and the Western world. If Jews want to eradicate the white race from the earth, they just need to keep doing what they're doing. Could there be a hidden link between Zionism and Satanism? The answer may shock you, and it involves the red heifers and the Third Temple. Nick Fuentes challenges the dispensational argument for Israel, arguing that their theological beliefs for the future sound like the coming of the Antichrist.
I don't take it as a good omen. When you say there's like a theological significance to the Jews retaining their religion ostensibly and then coming back to the Holy Land, I see it as actually a very dark omen because, of course, we talk about Iran's eschatological views about the 12th Imam and the Mahdi and all this. We don't talk about the Jews, which is, in order for them to practice their religion, they need to reestablish temple worship. In order to have temple worship, they need another temple. And this is not exactly a fringe idea in Israel. They talk about sacrificing these red heifers, these perfect red heifers. And then ultimately, one of the goals of the religious Zionists is to take out the mosque, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and rebuild the Third Temple. And this is sort of terrifying because it undoes what the caller said. It undoes what Christ did, which was to destroy the temple because there's a new sacrifice, which is him, the Lamb of God. There's a new temple. There's a new church, new priests. There's a new law. And then they were sent out. Now that they've returned, it's almost like it's working in reverse. They've returned to the land. And then, it might point towards maybe they're going to rebuild the temple. And who will inhabit the temple? The Jews say that our religion is dead because Christ is dead, they say. They say their religion is alive and their Messiah is yet to come. Who will inhabit the third temple and sit in the Holy of Holies on the site? It sounds like the Antichrist. So, and this is just sort of my speculation on this, but I sort of agree in a sense that you can't say it doesn't have theological significance, but I sort of tremble and fear what that represents. I don't see it as a good thing.
We've pulled back the curtain on hidden networks, forbidden ideologies, and the deep cracks running through the heart of our civilization. The question now is simple. Who will stand up? Putin says he will. From bold moves on the international stage to an outspoken defense of faith, family, and tradition, he's cast himself as one of the few willing to resist the forces he sees as corrosive. Whether you view him as a saviour or a strategist, one thing is clear. The battle for our culture has begun. If you care about what's left of our institutions, our families, our moral foundations, don't sit back and hope that somebody else will fix it. Do the work, learn the facts, question the narrative, and share what you discover, even if it's dangerous. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the crimes of the elite, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel, tell your friends and family about us, and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive and uncensored content. We can't do it without you.